Hello. I wanted to go ahead and cover things that you need to know for tomorrow's math work. So this is pretty similar to what you learned yesterday or Wednesday, but instead of subtracting tenths, now we're subtracting hundredths. Pretty similar, like I said. I don't think you'll struggle too much. So let's go over it. So flip open your textbook to page 37. We're going to start by looking at number 18. So, got mine up. You pull yours up. Okay, number 18. The first thing it tells us, or asks us to do, is subtract 6 hundredths from 8 hundredths. Really, this is pretty simple. So I've drawn out 8 hundredths. These are little hundredths. We're taking 6 away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Have 2 hundredths left. That makes sense, right? Because 8 minus 6 is 2. So as always, I like to show you what this looks like written out too. So this would be 8 hundredths minus 6 hundredths. Okay, for this, 8 hundredths minus 6 hundredths equals 2 hundredths. Pretty simple, right? Straightforward. Okay, now, here's what might trip you up. Look at B, 18B, still on page 37. It wants us to subtract 6 hundredths from 10 tenths, or 1/10, excuse me, 1/10. Okay, 6 hundredths from 1/10. Okay, this is just like what you did yesterday when you renamed 1 into 10 tenths. We're going to rename 1/10 into 10 hundredths. Okay, so I'll draw out our little graph here. Okay, we're going to take 1/10 See, I've taken 1/10 and renamed it into 10 hundredths. Okay, now from here, I'm going to subtract 6 hundredths. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many do I have left? 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes sense, right? Because we had 10 hundredths, subtracted 6, we have 4 hundredths. Okay, pretty simple stuff. Okay, let's write it vertically though, just to show us how we would do that, because this can be tricky when writing it vertically. When I write it vertically, I'm going to start with my tenth, right? Because that's the bigger number. 0.1, that's 1/10, right? Remember, if I add a 0 in my hundredths place, that doesn't change the value. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add a 0 here so that I can line up my 6 hundredths without any problems. Okay, what might confuse you if you write this out and don't write the 0, you might just write 6 here at the bottom, right? If you don't have this 0 here, you might be tempted to just bring your 6 down. But that's not correct. So I go ahead and write the 0 here so that I'm not confused what's happening. Okay? Because if you don't line this up, or if you just bring your 6 down, you'll get the wrong answer. Okay? So let's go ahead and rename our 1/10 into 10 hundredths and subtract. So 10 minus 6 is 4. 0 minus 0 is 0. And we have a 0 in our ones place. Okay, if you had just brought your 6 down, you probably would have put a 6 here and then a 1 here, and that's not the correct answer. So be sure to add a 0. And just to show you why it's the same, so if I have 1/10, right, as a fraction, 1/10, or, you know, as a decimal, 0.1, let's look at 10. If I add a 0 to my decimal, that's basically saying 10 hundredths, right? If I were to simplify this fraction and divide it by 10, 10 divided by 10 is 1. 100 divided by 10 is 10. That means they're equivalent. If you can simplify a fraction and get, you know, a different fraction, they're the same value, the same amount. So these are equal. That also means that their decimals are equal too. So you can always add zeros to the end of your decimals. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at number C, 18C. This wants us to subtract 6 hundredths from 1. Okay, 6 hundredths from 1. Let's look at what it's doing in your textbook. It's trading your 1 into 10 tenths. Okay, 1 into 10 tenths, and then we still have our hundredths? No, I see. Okay, in your textbook, what they're doing, I'll just show you if I can see it. Okay, what they're doing, is this the correct one? Is this what I'm looking at? Yes. They're taking your 1 that's in your ones place, turning it into 10 tenths, and then taking one of those tenths, so this one missing right here, and making it into 10 hundredths. So that's 2 steps that they're doing. They're renaming your 1 into 10 tenths, and then taking one of those tenths and naming it to hundredths, 10 hundredths. It's really complex, but maybe not if you're naturally thinking in your head. So let's go ahead and do that. That then gives us, I'm just going to draw it out with our little chart here. Okay, so now we have 9 tenths, and we have 10 hundredths. Okay, after we traded in our 1, we made 10 tenths. We already traded one of our 10 tenths for 10 hundredths. Now I'm subtracting my 6 hundredths from these 10 hundredths I now have. So I have 4 hundredths left, and I still have left 9 tenths. So my answer would be 0.94. But let's just go ahead and set that up vertically so you can see how to do it vertically. And like I said yesterday, if you try to do these in your head and you keep getting the wrong answer, just go ahead and write them down. There's nothing wrong in writing them down. In fact, like I said, I have to write them down a lot of times. It's just the way it goes, and I'm not ashamed. Okay, so I have 1 minus 6 tenths. Okay. See here, again, this doesn't change your value. So I went ahead and added my 0 so I'm not confused what's happening. Okay, I don't have enough hundredths here to subtract my 6 hundredths. I don't have enough to borrow from my tenths. I don't have any tenths there. So I go to my ones place. This is just what we just did. So let's trade our 1 1 to make 10 tenths. I still need to get some hundredths, so I'm going to trade one of my tenths to make 10 hundredths. I still have 9 tenths left. Now I have 10 hundredths. 10 hundredths minus 6 hundredths is 4. 9 tenths minus 0 tenths is 9. And 0 ones minus 0 is 0. So we get the right answer, 0.94. Okay, let's skip on down to 20 so that we can practice. So go ahead and do 20A on your end, either on a whiteboard or on a piece of paper. I move quickly through these, but it's a video, so you can pause me and do it, and then we can come back together. Pretty nifty, huh? I bet you wish you could pause me in class, too. Okay, 20A is 9 hundredths minus 2 hundredths. You do it, I just did it. Okay, if you need to pause me, pause me. I'm about to reveal it. Okay, 9 hundredths minus 2 hundredths. We can do 9 minus 2, 7, and then nothing in my tenths place or my ones place. So that's your answer. Let's do B, as in boy. 49 hundredths minus 2 hundredths. You can probably hear that and know, oh, 49 minus 2. You do it in your head. I like to write it out. Here we didn't have to rename anything. We just have 9 minus 2 is 7. 4 minus 0 is 4. And nothing in your ones place. Let's go ahead and do... Let's skip on down to D, as in dog. D as in dog. You do it, I'll do it here. 1/10 minus 4 hundredths. Okay, I'm going to reveal it. Okay, here I put my 0 first thing. I didn't leave it just 0.1 so that I wasn't confused. I put my 0 here. I knew I didn't have anything here, so I couldn't subtract 4. I had to trade my 1/10 and rename it to 10 hundredths so that I could subtract 4 from 10 hundredths to get 6 hundredths. Nothing in my tenths place then, and nothing in my, oops, I just erased the decimal. Nothing in my ones place. Okay, let's do E, as in elephant. Okay, same thing here. I went ahead and wrote my 0 immediately. I did not have enough to subtract from 4, so I traded in one of my tenths to make 10 hundredths, left me with 2 tenths. 10 hundredths minus 4 was 6. 2 tenths minus 0 is 2, and then nothing in my ones place. Okay, let's do one more. My video is about to run out. Oh no! Okay, let's do K. K. I'm going to be quick. Okay, I can't talk through all of this one. There's a lot of borrowing, but you should have gotten 2.55. If not, go over that again. All right, you can do exercise 21. Happy Thursday.